Chilo upete ningemlomo. Takana chilo upete ningemlomo. Dipeta masosa nalwa. Uwasa penge gavutwabo. Bom 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 bom. Shisa. Tubula mfano di. Sizoba tubula. Tubula. Oh tubula nifaka tololeo lumpa. Tubula mfano di. Sizoba tubula. Tubula. Oh tubula nifaka tololeo lumpa. Nifaka tololeo. Nifaka tololeo. Nifaka tololeo. Tubula nifaka tololeo lumpa. Nifaka tololeo. Tubula nifaka tololeo lumpa. Tubula mfana di. Sizoba tubula. Tubula. Oh tubula nifaka tololeo lumpa. Tubula mfana di. Sizoba tubula. Tubula. Oh tubula nifaka tololeo lumpa. Nifaka tololeo. Nifaka tololeo. Nifaka tololeo. Tubula nifaka tololeo lumpa. Nifaka tololeo. Nifaka tololeo. Nifaka tololeo. Tubula nifaka tololeo lumpa. Nifaka tololeo. Nifaka tololeo. Nifaka tololeo. Tubula nifaka tololeo lumpa.
Shosholoza.
Shosholoze. Kule sontabas timelas kume South Africa. Wendo ya baleke. Kule sontabas timelas kume South Africa. Shosholoze. Kule sontabas timelas kume South Africa. Wendo ya baleke. Kule
Please do give them a round of applause again. Sholoza. Come on, yes, and da 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 da. Come on, let's go. Let's sing at least. Sholoza. Nice. When no ya bale. Nice, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming and welcome to this event. And I'm going to be your director today. My name is Dalphia Mujela, and I'm from the Film and Publication Board. And let me start by thanking the university for welcoming us to also do this event. So if you're joining live, you're welcome. Please do interact with us. You can pop up some few questions if you want some questions, be part of the conversation and be part of the dialogue. And on social media, you can follow us. Please do follow us and participate. If is there anything, because we're going to run a competition, so please do make sure that you also, partake. Maybe you might have an address saying, please send an address. Maybe we can send that particular item. You'll never know. So, So thank you for coming. Dr. Val, I don't want to say a lot, but thank you so much for welcoming us. And I guess we're just going to start the event. Are you happy to be here? At least the people that are here. Are you happy to be here? Yes. Perfect. So I'm just going to call Dr. Val, the Director of Student Life, to give us a welcome note. Please do welcome Dr. Val.
Thank you, Delphia, and good morning to everybody. All the best with the Bloemfontein winter. I heard that the delegation had to go and buy some jackets when they arrived here, but our hearts are warm, and this is a warm, hearty welcome to each one of you. This is a significant event for us at the University of the Free State. We understand that the environment for our students has changed significantly during the past 2 decades with AI and online content that came in more and more into the lives of our students. And that has got significant implications for the cognitive development of our students, but also for the well-being of our students. And so we are grappling with a number of issues and challenges, how to respond and how to create an environment that includes an online environment that's conducive to the learning and development and success of our students. But we can't do that alone. And that is why partnerships with organizations like yourselves, like the Film and Publications Board and others represented here, is so crucial for us as a university to grapple with issues that face our current student generation and much broader, actually, our society, and to come up with solutions that can help our young people and help this generation to flourish in the years to come. So thank you very much for reaching out to us. We really appreciate it, and we believe this is the beginning of a long-term partnership and collaboration and taking hands and working together to really find solutions that can make our society flourish. So welcome to the Free State, and we're looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much. Dr. Val, everybody. The main reason why we are here is to create a safer environment for the youth. So today's conversation and dialogue, we want to hear your experiences when you use the social media platforms, when you're literally online, whatever internet space that you are, who are you interacting with? So we want to get that experience. We have Google in the house. Please do give them a round of applause for being here. We have Zedna in the house. We have ICASA also in the house. We have information regulator in the house. So these people will definitely give us an insight in terms of the experiences that you face and what is it that maybe questions that you have you've been longing to ask. So that is a platform for you to partake in that conversation so that you can share and also ask those questions. So that is the main reason here, to create a safer online environment for the youth. So everyone who's coming, you are welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So I'm just going to call the Strategic Partnership Officer, the Senior Manager from the Film and Publication Board, to also, welcome us. So please do welcome Ms. Ntabiseng May.
Good morning, students at UFS. Good morning. Ke Mosotho le nna ke a se tseba Sesotho. Thank you so much for allowing us to interrupt your academic day today. We are greatly honored to be part of the UF's daily program for the day of the 22nd of May. We have tried to make sure that we bring to this entity some information that is going to assist you as young people. The Film and Publication Board is an entity that regulates content. What you see on your mobile telephone, mobile devices when you watch streaming content from your Showmax, from your Netflix, from YouTube, from DVD shops, the films that you watch, from cinemas, we are the ones that do regulate that content. We issue age ratings. We also provide consumer advisories to indicate to you as a consumer the content that you're about to watch has got violence, has got strong language, has got nudity, so that you as a consumer of that content can make an informed choice. So our role is to protect you from content that is disturbing to you emotionally. If you are a person who doesn't like violence like myself, you will then make that informed choice when the content you're about to watch has got a V, which is violence. So that is the role that we play. Primarily, we are mandated to protect children because children have to grow up in a safe environment, protected environment, so that they can grow psychologically and emotionally as the adults that we want to see within society. We do not want to have children that grow exposed to violent content, exposed to nudity, because then that creates in them, normalizes the abnormal values and norms that we do not promote as a country. Now, we regulate that content, but your role as a young person, as an aunt, as a sister, as a brother, is to ensure that those that are younger than yourselves do not get exposure to that content. So this is the message that we are bringing here to create that awareness. You may not know as you go onto Showmax and you see a 16 and a V, you may not understand why that is there. But we are here to inform you that that is there because the content is not suitable for anyone who is under the ages of 16 because of the level of violence that you find there or because of the strong language that you find there. So what we encourage from these engagements is for you to then start observing those and also start sharing that message with those that are around you. We always believe that every individual has got 6 more people that they touch within their lives. So we encourage that you touch those 6 other individuals around you and you share this message that we are bringing here to you. Now, today's focus is on online harms. And this is informed by the fact that young people like yourselves are forever on social media platforms. I know if I have to ask right now, how many of you are on Instagram? How many of you consume Facebook? How many of you are on WhatsApp? The entire room, right? You are on WhatsApp, you are on Instagram, you are on YouTube. We are here then to share with you what is permissible in terms of the law. What is it that you shouldn't do on those platforms? And we bring our partners from Google, our partners from ICASA, our partners from Information Regulator, our partners from the domain name ZEDNA, so that they can also share and alert you of what is it that is permissible. But the crux of our engagements with you today is to hear from you, young people, what are your concerns on these online platforms? What gives you fears as you go onto these online platforms so that we can take note of that and be able to regulate and ensure that what we then consider from your inputs can get into our regulations and our policies, and we are able to account for the voices of young people. So we are here to hear your voices, to solicit your inputs, and to also get suggestions from yourselves on what is it that you would like us to do for you so that the online space becomes a very comfortable space that you can navigate yourselves in You can gather the knowledge that is available there. You can interact with the global community because this is the only tool that allows you to connect with the international and global communities as academics, as young people, and as socialites as well, because you are able to link up with anyone from anywhere in the world. Now, what we want to create out of the conversation is that as you do that, you are mindful of what is it that you can share, what is it that you can consume, and what is it that you can then report when you come across, because some of the content that you find there may not be what is permissible in terms of what the law requires. So we welcome your inputs, and I would like to encourage that we have an interactive session. We are not here to lecture or to speak to you, but we are here to have a conversation with you, and the majority of what we seek are your inputs and your suggestions on how to move. So I encourage and would like to hear all of you in this room sharing your voices with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. May. I think she did explain what is it that we want to, to get from you. So I want you to be free and, want to hear your experiences, whatever you're facing online. Because trust me, since COVID, we are forced to move in that internet space. Am I wrong? So I want to hear your experiences in terms of whether academically or socially, what is it that you're doing on social media? What is it that you're facing? What is it that your friends are facing? So what are the questions that you want to ask? So I want you to participate, to be free, don't be scared. These are the people like you. So I want you to engage. As much as yes, Dr. Val is here, there's our senior managers and everything, but I want you to make sure that you are free, relaxed, don't be scared. I want you to engage with, with us and with them. Pose serious questions that will answer, right? They are here to answer. They are here to, let's make it, a give and take, 50-50 kind of conversation, so that they know when they go back in terms of policy making, what is it they can amend, what is it that they can also take into consideration. Do we agree? Are we in the same page? Yes. I'm not hearing that. Are we on the, same page? Yes. Perfect. So I want that energy, please. We are the youth. It's about youth, you guys. So let's, engage and have fun. Right? So I'm going to call our acting CEO, Mr. Ephraim Tlako, to give us the context and also a brief of the purpose of the day, as much as Ms. May did touch a bit. So please do welcome our acting CEO, Mr. Ephraim Tlako.
Good morning. Good morning, students and management of the university, Dr. Viepie. Thanks for accepting our invite when we reached out to come through. So maybe just for starters, how many of you knew what FP, or at least know what FPB is before Ms. May told you what FPB does? Just raise your hand if you have seen us and you know what we're doing. Okay, I'm only seeing one hand. Okay, there's another hand there. So it's key that Ms. May that we are here. And it's good that we are here, because by the end of the day, you'll know what FPB does, you'll know what information regulator does, you'll know what .ZNA also does. And we've also, like we've said, we've brought in our technology partners. But firstly, Dr. Viepie, just my apologies from the CEO, he couldn't be here. I'm representing him. He's off sick, he's not doing well because of the flu. But we are here to send a message on his behalf. So I lead a program that looks at technology and platform monitoring. We've just, as the FPB, have an expanded mandate with the new act, and I'm sure my colleague from legal, Andrew, will talk more about the legalities and what the act does. But what has happened is that FPB, with the new mandate, is now transforming from just being a classification authority to much more of an online content regulator. And we're going to touch more on what is it that is expected and why specifically we are here. We're on these road shows with the universities. But to touch just broadly and expand on what Ms. May said, there's two mandates of what the FPB is expected to do, and the other one you'll understand why we are here. One mandate is FPB is a regulator. We regulate content, we regulate classification of content. So When you go into Showmax, when you go into the cinema, when you go to any of the streaming platforms, there should be that triangle of the FPB that shows you what is the age rating of the specific content that you are watching. If you do not see that, please let the FPB know about that. If you're at the cinema or you are watching Showmax, you are watching Prime, Amazon Prime, you are watching any of the streaming platforms and you do not see that triangle, because then it simply means that either that content is not rated and is now being watched by people who should not be watching it. That's one of our mandates. Another mandate is then if you want to be an online distributor, you want to be Google, you want to be YouTube, you want to be commercial distributor of content. And I'm not talking about, I know young people want to be influencers, you are content creators, but you are doing that only for your own purposes. But once you start selling your content and you are now a commercial distributor, meaning that there's a financial transaction, and you become an online content distributor, you need to register with us. You need to please contact us and register with us, because then it means you are non-compliant with us. If then you want to start being, distributing your content for commercial purposes. But that's just a side influence on the side, that's fine, you can do that. But we're gonna talk about being responsible on that. The second mandate, Dr. Viebie, is the educator portion. Over and above just being a regulator, we are also an educator. And we partner with universities like yourselves, UFS, on how then do we reach the young people, the students that are here, the main stakeholders that are here, so that we can educate yourselves on online harms, how to be a responsible digital citizen. When you are interacting with these online platforms, what responsibilities do you have? What are the issues or the harms that you need to be looking out for? Because the internet has its own good, but it has its own bad as well. So we are here working with UFs to make sure that we can reach out to yourselves, the students, and make sure that we educate yourselves, we make you aware of all the online harms. And like as Ms. May said, we are seeing yourselves, students, as the link between your younger siblings and your parents. Because I'm sure most of you are students, you probably have younger siblings who are still at school. And I'm sure your 8-year-old grade 2 sibling has a smartphone. They probably forced you and your parents to have a smartphone to join Facebook. They want to play games, they want to go onto YouTube. It's your responsibility as the young adults in the family to educate them on the harms that they're exposing themselves into, and also to educate our parents on the harms that our little ones are exposed to. And also yourselves as the young adults, what are the harms that you need to be careful of? Because people, internet does not forget. You're going to post your content there, all of the inappropriate content, the internet does not forget. That content is going to stay there, and those issues may later on in your life come back to bite you. So it's all about being responsible on that when you are using platforms. And again, except for just reaching out to yourselves, students here at the university, one other key issue, Dr. Viebie, is we partner with universities to be able to work on research, to assist us on research areas, the number of areas that we're working on as the FPB. And we cannot do it ourselves. Universities then play a huge role in assisting us on evidence-based, so that when we're going out to public engagements like this, we are informed. We know what the social ills are. We know what students are facing. We know what kind of issues are there, and that it's informed by research, and hence why then we come to universities. So number of opportunities that we could probably work on, and partnership discussions that we can have, Dr. Viebie, on how best can we work together. Over and above just research, university as centers of learning, we work with universities to identify a streamline for us to source talent. You can imagine FPB moving from just a classification authority to now going into becoming an online regulator. There are new skills we need, digital skills, AI on how do we classify content, and working with the technology partners to identify and open up markets for students when you are done studying or while you are still studying. At least you know what opportunities are there and you can assist us, because we need to all work together, and the universities are the places where we can then source our talent to assist us regulate this huge industry, and we're not saying we want to police the internet. No one can police the internet. We're saying we just need to have digital skills so that when we are interacting with the internet, we have a full picture of what is it that we're exposing ourselves into, and we have people who can assist the FPB and all our partners on how best then can we become digital citizens equipped with the skills, and we are looking to students within the university to come and assist us and assist our partners as well. Like I've already said, we need skills on AI, data analytics, social engineering, just so that we can understand the social impact of using the internet. And as young adults, like I've said, it's on yourselves. Don't make the same mistakes you did when you were still using Mixit and you publish pictures without you knowing. We just need to be responsible when your boyfriend or girlfriend is asking for inappropriate pictures. You know what is it that you can send, what is it that you cannot send. Because those pictures, one day when you are no longer together, they're going to be posted, they're going to remain on the internet. When you are at one of the clubs, you're having nice hubbly there, you're popping, you're taking pictures, you're taking videos. Those things remain on the internet. And what employers do these days, they go check your profile, they check your digital footprint. What is it that you are doing online, and what kind of person are you? And that then becomes, among other things, a determining factor whether what kind of person you are. So what I'm just asking from yourselves as the young students and as the young adults, please let's be responsible, let's be aware of the online harms that the internet comes. Internet is a good place, but it's also a bad place. So we need to be responsible when we're interacting, whether on Facebook, and we need to have etiquette when we're engaging with other people. Don't be mean. Just because you are hiding behind your cell phone or you are hiding behind your laptop, you think nobody knows you, nobody sees you. You can say whatever you want to say. So cyberbullying is also one of the issues that we need to be responsible about, and making sure that whatever that we're communicating, whatever that we're posting, we think before we post. There's a theme with the FFPB team that we're saying, think before you post. The same way you want to be treated, make sure that you treat the other people the same way. And in closing, just as you have hopes and you probably have dreams, and you are seeing what other people are doing, use the internet responsibly. Make sure that when one day you become that influencer and you have so many followers, but you are responsible, you know what best do you need to do. When you go home, when you are seeing a rating, not just the films or content you are seeing on Netflix or on Showmax or on Prime Video, even on the games. I know, guys, most of you are playing games, PlayStation and all of that. Make sure that you are responsible. As a 19-year-old, as a 20-year-old, you are playing FIFA or you are playing a certain game on your PlayStation. Please be responsible when you are playing with your younger brother or your younger siblings. Don't expose them to what they shouldn't be, because the games are also regulated by us. We ensure that the content that is there is age appropriate. So if you have a 9-year-old sibling and they want to play game with you on a 16-rated film, be the responsible, the young adult, and say, no, this is not appropriate for you. And even when you're watching movies or you're watching content, make sure that your younger siblings do not watch what they are not supposed to be doing, because the harm that exposure, that little exposure can have to your younger sibling can have longer impact. So please, let's just be responsible and make sure that we are responsible young adults. Our theme as the FPB, our tagline is this, and this is in closing. We inform you, we come to this kind of engagements, there's a lot of material that we send out to inform you and to educate you, but you still choose. You choose what you watch, you choose what you're doing, but we hope that once we've informed you, you can now make informed decisions. With those words, Dr. Viepe, we'd like to thank you and looking forward to a much thorough engagements with yourselves and creating partnerships with the University of the Free State. This is not the last time that you are here. We'll definitely be coming to Bloemfontein. And I'm sure there are areas that we can work together so that we can partner together and reach the audience and ensure that FPB and our partners can make sure that it meets its mandate. And through yourselves, we'll be able to do that. Thank you.
Mr. Ephraim Clark, everybody, thank you so much. The think before you post campaign, right? If I can ask, who owns the internet? Who owns the internet? Anyone? My brother at the back. Who owns the internet? You don't know? Who owns the internet? Yes. Oh, nothing. Do you have any hands? Guys. No. There are 2 hands at least. Oh, thank God. Yes.
Okay.
Who owns the internet?
Those who participate in it.
Those who participate in it, the residents. Okay. There's a hand again. There. Z? Yes.
Nobody owns the internet.
Oh my God, this is the best answer. No one owns the internet. Can we have something for her? Because no one ever answered that question. They thought Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Cyril Ramaphosa, they thought, unfortunately, our president owns the internet, but no one owns the internet. That is why we always encourage everyone to make sure that you think before you post. The T, is it true what you're posting? H, is it honest? I, is it necessary? N, is it, oh my God, inspiring, the I, then the N, is it necessary? Then the K, is it kind? So whatever you are engaging on social media, whatever post that you're posting on Twitter, is it inspiring? Sharing, Musa Kaula, is it necessary? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Whatever content that you produce, is it necessary? So that's what we are trying to educate you, whatever you are doing. Before I started working at the Film Publication Board, they went on personal audit in a way. They wanted to see your online, your footprint. What is that you do? Is it good? Can we employ you? Are you a good person for the job? As much as it's an internship, or as much as you are going to do something else. But are you the right person? Because when you go outside, what kind of message are you going to pass? Are you going to be an ambassador? Because each and every organization that you work at, even I guess a director here Dr. Val can also agree with me. Even at the university, you are representing the university. Whatever you do, the brand of the university is involved. Am I lying? So whatever you are doing, just make sure that you are safe on the internet. I remember we had a case, not literally us, but the Miss South Africa organization. There was a contestant who wanted to be Miss South Africa, but unfortunately she was qualified. She made some racist comments on Twitter way back, 5 years back, and she was in top 5. But unfortunately, she was disqualified because of what she did. The footprint, whatever you do on the internet, I'm going to repeat again, think before you post, because it might come back. But Facebook in a whole reminder, remember 5 years back? Am I lying, right? 5 years back, you were at what? As Azizi launch. Remember? So just think before you post. So I want you to, have that understanding. I want you to be free. You want to hear yourself. I hear when Mr. Clark was talking about, you are dating, taking pictures. Homana, did the Loveland, I know. But make sure, whether it's a nude picture or what, just make sure that maybe you hide your face, but we don't encourage you to do that. Because we don't know whether maybe Delphia will do a certain thing with your picture. Maybe you are, Lilwile, at that time you are fighting, and I decided, I'll show him. Then, outside. Then now, what about your brand? You as a person, you are a brand, by the way. Your reputation. So what's going to happen to you? So please take that into consideration. And I want you to share those experiences and, what your friends went through, or you as an individual or a victim. Please, we want to hear that. Do you agree that you're going to, assist this conversation, this dialogue to be exciting? Really? Perfect. So we have a performance, we have a poetry, a piece that is related to the theme of today. So please welcome Dumi. Please, if I butcher the same name, please forgive me. Please welcome Dumi Riet and the vocalist and plus the drummer.
Hello, hi. I am Tumi Riet, not Riet, Riet. And I'm accompanied by a guitarist, Bokang Tafari Trinity. You can find him on Instagram, even me. Yeah. And I have 2 poems prepared for you guys. One I'm going to read, and the other one is just going to be a performance, right? Cool. And they are both responses to the themes of cyberbullying and online harassment. Okay. Virtual and unreal realities. Virtual and unreal realities. What the mirror said, the compliment, the approval, the yes, you look good today in seconds, can be taken back. Okay, cool. That was a mic check. Okay. Cool. Virtual and unreal realities. What the mirror said, the compliment and the approval, the yes, you look good today in seconds, can be taken back, scrutinized and twisted in splits by disapproving feedback loops from a social media group. A reflection posted on the net to share, feed, and globally connect can quickly become a distasteful scene of deflection where you have to defend how worthy you are of your own existence, where you have to take deep, regulated breaths to fight against an anxious spell. When all you wanted to do was to participate and be seen, now you have to hide in shame and contemplate taking your own life. In the wrong hands, the internet is a capricious monster with an insatiable hunger. Users and viewers with stomachs growling and howling, frantically sniffing out its prey. Unbeknownst to you, when's your day to have its claws dig into your screen, drawing out your flesh and your blood, your bone and your skin, and remind you of how unseen you are. From blinded hands and thorny clicks, blood could be dripping from your wrists. These screens can lead to screams. A like, a comment, a repost can have ruthless gnawing teeth because their approvals aren't a state to fix and the net is not to befriend. A monster could be loose on a fence. Virtual and unreal realities are realities too. Let's all play a game where the internet is not a frame to attain toxic fame that a teenager has to hide in shame for just being themselves. Let's hop on the trend to take a stand against the internet user inflicting violence unconsciously, causing bruises, thinking it's amusement. Let's chase clout and dare to be part of the crowd that is intentional about every like, post and share that desires a happier and healthier virtual experience? Is it only a digital dream to imagine a world where the comment section of a post does not seek to scathe or wound? Is it only a digital dream to imagine a world where the quoted tweet doesn't harm or invalidate the dignity and sovereignty of another? Is it only a digital dream to experience a virtual reality where freedom of digital speech can be practiced in moderation and care to spare the wholeness of another? Is it only a digital dream where love can be a daily practice on our digital screens? Virtual and unreal realities are realities too. And this one is for anyone that has experienced online harassment, bullying, or shame after posting online content. And this poem, it's a reclamation and a celebration of yourself. And it's called Body. Body. This is our meeting place, where stones are thrown, but none left unturned. Each bloodied pebble you baptized and took to the altar of your sacred worship, said prayers, spoke in tongues untied, rebuked all spirits disguised as love, sang hymns louder than hallelujahs. This is where you alchemized me as golden and called me daughter of sun and moon man. Body. In the congregation of your church, you've preached sermons which resurrected my sunken soul and found me rising like a phoenix on the third day I was born again. Body, you've read all my gospels, my chunky Johns, my rolling Matthews, marked and looked with silly, sinister eyes, touched and soothed by heathenish hands. And body, you loved me still. I say no way. No way. No way that this body ain't a holy body. Thank you. Shout out to my guitarist.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Please give her a round of applause again, and also the guitarist. I was expecting the drama, but unfortunately they surprised me. So one thing that I took there, virtual realities are realities too. I'm getting the vibe. Virtual reality. So whatever you do on social media, whatever you do online, know that you're affecting someone. Someone is reading. What are you doing to that person? Do you think about what they feel when they find that content, whatever you're saying, whatever you're bullying about, their body, right? Body shaming, 1. 2, oh, you don't look good. The beauty, but it lies on the eye of the beholder, isn't it? Oh, okay, I see you, the drummer. Okay, you can recruit me because you're saying, hey, born. So thank you so much. That was a nice piece. So we can take a lot from that poetry. That piece was so perfect. So if you're not listening, I don't know. Maybe you're a carpet. I don't know. But I just hope that you got a lot from that. And thank you so much to me. It's Rit. Oh, Lord. Rit. Okay. So I'm going to call Andrew Sibapu from our legal team so that you know what is it that is permissible, what is not acceptable in terms of law, what is the law saying with our expanded mandate, the online harms. What is it that you're going to regulate? Why do we say we are creating this online safer environment for you guys? So please do welcome Andrew Sibapu. Now you can sit. He can sit, right? Perfect.
Thank you, Dalfia, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew Sibapu. I'm from the Film and Publication Board. I'm the legal officer there. So I'm going to briefly talk to you about the consequences of, posting harmful content online. Already we've heard that the Film and Publication Board is a content regulator. We regulate the creation, the distribution, possession of films and games, so that we are able to provide the consumer with information, and also to protect children against harmful content or premature exposure of adult content. So this is not only what we do. We are a statutory body. We are created in terms of the Films and Publications Act 65 of 1996. Now, our act was recently amended, and as a result of the amendment, we now have what we refer to as expanded mandate. Now, in terms of the expanded mandate that we have, we are now able to deal with complaints relating to harmful content that is being distributed online. Harmful content being distributed online. Now, in terms of our Amendment Act, or our Act as amended, we referred to that content as prohibited content. In other words, it's not allowed to be distributed on social media, including on internet. Here we are talking about content that amounts to hate speech. If you were to call someone K-word or kwere, or you post and say, tomorrow let's go kill all the Basotho in our village. That is hate speech. And if you were to be found guilty of such, of posting such content, you can actually be fined up to 150,000 rand or go to jail for a maximum of 2 years. And we are also able to deal with complaints relating to the filming and distribution of content depicting sexual violence and violence against children. So in other words, if you see someone assaulting a child, then you record that and then you put it on your Facebook so that you can get many likes and so forth. That is a criminal offense, and you can actually be fined up to 150,000 rand or go to jail for 2 years. Now, the only instance where maybe you might film that content where you're seeing your neighbor, assaulting a child, you can only do that for the purposes of prosecution. In other words, you record, you take it to police, or you report it to us as an evidence that my neighbor here is actually, abusing or assaulting a minor child. That is the only instance you are allowed to record such content. Now, the other thing that we are able to deal with is the issue of revenge porn. And I think, I don't know, Dalfia, do you allow me to ask audience what do they understand by revenge porn?
Yeah,
because
can.
it's very prevalent amongst the youth. Anybody?
Revenge porn. What is revenge porn?
What do you understand by revenge porn?
Are we going to choose? I can choose.
So it looks in Free State. No. I think it's a good indication. Maybe here in Free State it's not happening. People are. They
were laughing.
Oh, okay.
They were laughing about the, you dating and something when Mr. Clark was talking. So
Tell us
really
about your understanding of revenge porn.
Hello, everyone. My understanding about revenge porn is when you share nude images or videos of your partner that you've broken up with. So say, for example, her and I are dating. Mm-hmm. She sends me a few images or videos, and then we break up, and then out of spite, I share her images online.
Perfect, perfect. Anybody wants to add? Now, if you were to be found guilty of posting such, you can actually be fined up to 150,000 rand or go to jail for 2 years. But now, in an event where we are able to identify your partner, whoever you would have posted, everybody can see, no, this is so and so. The fine will be up to 300,000 rand or 4 years in prison. So in other words, for you, I don't know the circumstances under which you can post, you can do that. But now in terms of the act, you are posting without the consent, and the intention is to humiliate that person, in other words, to cause harm to that person. So should we receive a complaint regarding that, we are able to investigate, and if there is merits to the case, we are going to refer the matter to an enforcement committee. We've got a committee that deals with all these complaints, that is able to impose fine. It is chaired by a retired Judge Masipa, if you know Judge Masipa. So anyone can lodge a complaint with the FPB, we investigate, and if we are satisfied, we then present the matter before that committee. Just recently, the council actually published 2 regulatory instruments, namely complaints handling procedure. In other words, it gives us the process and the procedure of handling your matter, of receiving your complaint and dealing with that matter until it is ready to be presented before that committee. And the committee also has what we call enforcement committee rules. And the rules guides the committee as to how do you ventilate the matter before the committee and up to finality. So, in other words, as soon as today, if someone shares a picture of you naked without your consent, you can actually lodge a complaint with us. These regulatory instruments were published in the Government Gazette, and I know our colleagues are also working very hard to ensure that they also there on our website, where you can actually go to our website, get the document, especially the complaints handling procedure. It has a form. It will guide you as to how do you go about lodging a claim. Now, lastly, the issue of child pornography. Now, it's a very serious issue. So no one is allowed to create, to possess, or to even try to access child pornography. If you were to be found guilty of trying to access, just to access child pornography, you can be jailed up to 5 years. If you are aware of anybody who's having, in other words, possessing child pornography or is distributing child pornography, you are required by law to report such a person to the SAPS so that they can investigate further. Now, what is child pornography? Child pornography is, any content or sexual, sexual conduct that involves a minor child. We know that a minor is anyone who is below the age of 18. So if you see any content, sexual conduct, in other words, be it kissing, inappropriate display of genitals, touching, and so forth and so forth, that involves sexual conduct, and it involves a minor, you must be able to report such to the SAPS. And lastly, in terms of our act, what we refer to as internet service providers, these people are actually those that your MTN, your Vodacom, they provide you with, internet access. These people are required in terms of the Act to actually provide us with the information of anybody who is distributing such prohibited content, be it child pornography or hate speech. So if you were to distribute and think you're gonna get away with that, forget. We will go to MTN and say, there is this issue that we are investigating. Can you tell us where does this content originate from? They will tell us this was distributed from this number and it belongs to so and so. So we'll be able to, get hold of you, and then the law will take its course. I think, Delphia,
Yeah.
I should pause at that.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Please give a round for Andrew. So in terms of reporting, you can go to our website, www.fpb.org.za. So you can also, try by all means to communicate with us on social media. Make sure that you follow us. Whatever information that you see, you can also report on social media. Then our team at Comms team will definitely take it to a relevant department. So on Facebook, we are Film and Publication Board. On Twitter, @FPB_ZA. Instagram, FPBZA. Please do engage, even at the moment. So even your friends, you can WhatsApp your friends to also come so that they can also hear this information, so that you can also, have a conversation after this. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Do we agree? Please do engage on social media. Please do follow us. I know you follow your university Facebook page. Also there, please do engage with whatever they are posting. If you are saying, oh, I've learned 1, 2, 3, 6, please, I want to see that 6 there. Right? So I'm just going to give our partners, our strategic partners, if it was not about them, unfortunately, the FPB cannot achieve its mandate. So we strive a lot with our strategic partners in order to make our work more easier with their facilities and their whatever they do. So we try by all means to pull everyone so that we can try by all means to reach each and every market, each and every audience outside. So I'm just going to give just to introduce themselves and also what they do. Then also going to move to the panel discussion so that you understand what Google is all about, .za is all about, so that you are literally in the loop. So I'm just going to let's start from Silas. Let me take the mic quickly. It's ICASA, by the way.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Silas Poshoko. I work for ICASA, which is the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa.
What do you do?
Okay. At ICASA, I deal with cybersecurity. We do a lot of cybersecurity awareness. As you know that as a technology or as many people get into the cyberspace, there's just a lot of fraud that is happening in the cyberspace. So we are trying to teach, as many people as possible on how to spot, the fraud. There's just a lot of scams online. So we go all around trying to teach people about the latest malwares that are happening. And as you know, I don't know whether you've heard about the SIM swap fraud, where a lot of people lost a lot of money as a result of that kind of scam, where basically somebody will take your number. Basically, they start by getting as much information about you as possible. And then from there onwards, they phone, maybe, let's say, for example, you're using Vodacom, MTN, whatever. Then they phone MTN asking for MTN to port the number. But because remember what these cell phone companies, what they're doing is that they're going to ask you maybe 4 or 5 personal questions before they do the SIM swap. What these fraudsters do, before they can even phone MTN, they make a research about you. About your girlfriend, your mom's name, those kind of little information that you guys just freely post on internet and stuff like that. They gather that information. After that, they are able to phone, whatever MTN, whatever operator that you are using, pretend to be you. As a result, if you know what these operators does, their security is not tight as well, because after you answer those 5 questions, they port you. They assume it's you, and then after porting, that person can be able to get your one-time password. If you are using internet, you know, when you use internet banking, you get one-time password. You'll be surprised, you are not getting SMSs as often as you do. And somebody else is now using your number. So many people lost a lot of money as a result of that SIM swap fraud. So we're trying to go all out to conscientize people to say what kind of information they must present. I mean, if somebody calls you and start asking you about your girlfriend, if you're applying for a job, there's no need for somebody who, when he calls you for the interview, ask you what's your mom's name, what insurance have you used, what does that have to do with the job that I applied for. So the these fraudsters, they'll be pretending as if they'll know that you are looking for a job. So they'll call you to say, no, you have an interview. They need they have few questions for you before you come there. They'll ask you about, some silly questions to say, which insurance do you have in the past 3 years, this and this and that. For them, they're gathering that information because they know that the operators are going to ask those questions. You because you're looking for a job, you're going to freely provide that information. Unknowingly, you're actually enabling them to defraud you. So, that's what the CASA does. That's partly, just a little bit of what the CASA does. We have a broader mandate in telecommunications. I'm sure all your cell phone, also your cell phones have a CASA at the back of it. So we type approve the cell phones. Every radio stations that operate in South Africa, we give them license, we monitor them. So in the postal, your couriers, your South African post office, we license them and we monitor how they operate. So that is in brief what we do as ICASA. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Basically, CASA is the regulator for telecommunications, broadcasting, and also the postal services in South Africa in your interest. So if you have any issues like FPB, you want to report in terms of child pornography, they do with telecommunications, stuff, and broadcasting, radio, he did mention, and also the postal industry. So now I'm going to give it to Google South Africa.
Dumela. Hello. Are you guys there? Okay. All right. So my name is Sipho Mtombeni. I work for a multinational company called Google. You may have heard of it. We have the search engine, Gmail. Do you guys know Gmail? You guys know YouTube? We have Google Maps. We have a number of many products. So my official title is Government Affairs and Public Policy Manager. What that means, the fancy English, it just means I have to make sure that Google, as a company operating in South Africa, that we are compliant with the laws, we partner with our regulators, and make sure that we don't do anything that is going to be outside of the law. So that's, in a nutshell, what I do. So I'm happy to speak to you today about how we do a lot of work in terms of making sure that our platforms where you access content, so when we're talking content here, you can think about, for instance, YouTube, where there's a lot of videos that are being uploaded every day, millions and millions of hours of videos that are being uploaded there. We also have our Play Store, where you can get games, you can get movies, etc. So as a content distributor in the country, we also have to comply with the laws like what the Film and Publications Act requires. But yeah, I'll talk you through some of those things when we get into the panel discussion.
Thank you so much. Then we have .zna domain.
Hi, everyone.
I think it's on. Is it on? Let's use this one.
Hi, everyone. How are you? We good. My name is Tsolofelo Mukoni. I am the Internet Governance Coordinator for the .za Domain Name Authority. If Delphia will, I just want to ask from everybody, do you guys know what a domain is? Yes,
You do?
no. Just by a show of hands, do you guys know what a domain is? So a few
knows?
people know what a domain is. So a domain is an address where we house your website, right? So without a domain, there's no website. So we regulate, as ZADNA, we regulate all domains that are on the .za platform, right? These can be categorized into generic domains, country code top-level domains, or geographical domains, such as your .Cape Town, or your .Joburg, or your .Durban. Those are some of the domains that we regulate. We also play an active role in making sure that the internet is safe from vicious online content. So that's, but I will also, as Sipo has indicated, get into that when we get into the panel discussions. Thank you.
Then we also have information regulator.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Dennis Mtsweni. I'm from the information regulator. I'm not sure how many of you know about the information regulator. It's an institution that was established in 2016. Its mandate is basically twofold, the protection of personal information, your personal information, and then also the promotion of access to information. So that's a big question, protection and promotion of information. We've got 5 members, 3 full-time members with a chairperson, Ms. Advocate Bensi Tlakula, and then part-time and full-time members. And then, as indicated, our mandate is promotion of access and protection of your personal information. In as far as the Protection of Personal Information Act, commonly known as POPIA, it's shaped around 8 principles, which we call them conditions. In a nutshell, one of those important conditions is that you cannot share your information, or your information cannot be processed without your consent. And secondly, your information must be protected by whoever collects your personal information. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about is that those rights, both the promotion of access and protection of personal information, also have limitations. I'm sure we'll talk about those as we move along during the course of the day. But then the regulator has got enforcement powers. We also established an enforcement committee last year. Some of you who follow the news would know that last week or so, a month ago, there was an issue of SAPS apologizing for leaking certain personal information. So that was through the newly established enforcement committee. But we will discuss as we move along during the course of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please do give a round of applause for our partners and stuff. So basically, we, as FPB, we cannot achieve our mandate without our partners. So we make sure that we work together in order to create a safer environment for all South Africans, whether you are an adult, youth, and also children. If you can check, all of them, they protect, they make sure everyone is sorted, right? So I just want to, there are selected students here who want to share their experiences. Maybe if you can get the mic on the floor. I didn't get their names, but they are students who want to share their experiences in terms of their use on social media and what is that they experience basically. So I don't know, they are available in the show of hands. Please do raise your hand so that the mic can come to you. Should I just speak because no one is here? Oh. Please do feel free to speak. It's not limited to the 3, so you're allowed to share your experiences and make sure that you engage.
Good morning, everyone. I lost my number, I lost my number.
We can hear you properly. Please introduce yourself, also your name.
I think I lost, my name is Bokang Tafari, but on stage, I'm Royal Trinity. And I lost my Facebook account. I think it's what my elder explained here. Maybe somebody stole my number by that SIM swap fraud, because I used my number to open my Facebook account. So he eventually changed even my password and blocking me out of my Facebook account. So that's my experience, and I had to open a new account. And because I'm an artist and I have like my pages and my information on Facebook, I can no longer access all of that information and all of the work that I have built, basically the connections and the followers that I have built on that account, I can no longer access. And it happened in 2020, a lockdown. That's my experience. Give thanks.
So the person was using your Facebook to do malicious stuff, is it? Or it's just this? Oh, okay. Okay. Anyone else? We have a hand at the back.
Thank you. I had a question for, in regards to child pornography.
Yeah.
So what happens now if there's someone who doesn't necessarily distribute, but instead they're consumers? You know, like, are they as guilty as the distributors? In that regard.
So basically, in terms of the FPB, what we regulate is, let me give it to legal. Andrew?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Consumers. The first thing that comes to my mind is you consume, where do you get that when you consume it? Because you are not allowed to create, to even try to access, to possess, to distribute, or even to import or export. In other words, a child pornography is a no. I can't emphasize it. There is no circumstances under which you will be allowed to have child pornography. That's why even if just a mere suspicion that someone has that, you are supposed to report. By the way, in terms of the definition of child pornography, even if someone who appears on that content is not a child, is 30, for an example, but now on the content, that person is being depicted or presented or being made to look like a child. If you are 28 and then, with technology, they are able to a Photoshop or something like that, and then you look like a 14-year-old, that is child pornography. So it's a no-no. And I see my boss wants to hammer it.
Thanks, Andrew. I just wanted to add that we have what we call a hotline on our website on fpb.org.za, working with partners across the world to ensure that we can curb child pornography and child sexual abuse, because it is a monster that's going around the world and we are not an exception. So please report such material, any suspicious conduct when it relates to child sexual abuse, child pornography, because like what my colleague Andrew is saying, once you get into exposure to that, forget even about FPB. Contact the SAPS because that's a criminal offense. But on our website, fpb.org.za, there's a hotline where you can report such conduct, and working with all stakeholders, the police, even the international hotlines around the world. We can then record that and work with the SAPS. And I'm sure most of you are aware of the recent case where the Ackerman case, it's in the media, where a lot of material was confiscated and people were abusing children and posting videos and pictures of children. And in most cases, 100% of those cases end up in conviction, meaning that perpetrators are taken to jail. So please assist us, report such conduct on our website, fpb.org.za, through our hotline. Thank you.
Tulu, you want to add something?
But also just a word of caution, right? So FPB likes, I'm mentioning it, but it's their thing that they're doing. Taking pictures, innocent pictures of children. So let's say you have a little child and they're bathing, right? And you take innocent pictures of them. You take the picture. Then you become a producer of child pornography. You're creating child pornographic content. The second you send that little innocent picture to the father of the child even, you're considered a distributor of child pornographic content. So even just that, stay away from taking pictures of children exposed in their vulnerable positions, because we really do have serious cases of pedophiles that can create anything from nothing. So it's the FPP's mandate just to also educate young people, the public, about just those even small details that we literally take for granted. You know, and we put such things on. But I'll give it to Andrew, who can hammer it better.
Thank you, Tsulu. You have actually hammered it much, better. I can't even add. Yes, you'll be saying, okay, your partner is in Cape Town, and then you are here, and then you want to show them that kids are, growing up or even getting ready to go to a party or something, and then you innocently take that picture, and then you share with your partner, and then it might happen that it end up in the wrong hands, and then they will use that. Those pedophiles will use that to create something out of nothing, and then they start distributing. So you are giving them an opportunity, you are giving them material to produce, an opportunity to have something that they, under normal circumstances, they wouldn't have. So, and then it's going to be used to exploit children and so forth and so forth. So you are not allowed to do that.
Just to add, I think 4 years back, there was a case whereby a mother took a picture, innocently so, as they're saying, but the phone broke, so you have to take it to Mr. Fix. So apparently, the Mr. Fix was that pedophile who's like get money or sells those pictures to make money. So he was able to access those pictures. So just be careful, basically. There's a hand there.
Hi, sorry. I'm a professional photographer, and I have a problem with parents with newborn photos.
Yeah.
So normally we do the naked bodies, but it's not, the real Anne Geddes photos, like parents holding the children and that. I stopped doing that. So I only do newborn photos where I wrap the babies.
Mm-hmm.
But parents still ask for those photos, and they don't really understand that you're not allowed to do that. So what do you do in that instance if there's newborn photos that's quite innocent, but they still post it?
Ms. May, you wanted to say something?
Thank you. I think the purpose of our session today is to create this kind of awareness. And we do not only interact with students at universities, but we also have a team that does outreach to parents, to schools, to forums where we reach out to as much of the South African public as possible. But it does not stop you from this session to also go back and share and say, this is what I learned today, and this is what is allowed and what is not allowed. So we do public education to parents, targeting schools, and also today we are dealing with you as the young people. I wanted to add on to the question raised about someone accessing child pornography. It should be a concerning matter, because the question is, where is this being accessed from? And what kind of a person is that individual who consumes such disturbing content? I'm not sure if the lady is still here, but I think it should be very worrying to have someone accessing and watching that kind of content. My take is that very person who watches that content is very disturbed and might also be acting very badly or very maliciously towards children around them. The little that I've seen on child pornography is scary content. You can imagine an adult having a sexual intercourse with a 3-month-old baby, how horrific that is. And then somebody else sits and watches that. It's a sick person, it's a disturbed person. So I'm seriously concerned. From the lady who shared this with us, can we have a conversation, please? Because we need to nab this person as quickly as possible.
Because just to add, it's not a normal porn that you know, that you normally watch, right? This is a different content. That's that individual. What are you doing when you watch that? So it's very concerning. Tulu?
Just also something about digital footprint, right? Digital footprint is not what you post, it's also what you search. So where you've been, what websites you've also been on. So that, even on child pornographic content, if it's a young person that's consuming that, just keep in mind that when it boils down to, maybe for instance, as they'd indicated, you're looking for a job, that's gonna come up on your digital searches, your digital, that forms part of your digital footprint. So yeah, it's not, as Ms. May just indicated, it's not
normal.
It's not normal. There shouldn't be child pornographic content to consume, which is what we're, as regulators, trying to nab down. But if there are also consumers, yeah.
And just to add, in terms of the parents, unfortunately, we cannot say, we inform. At the end of the day, you as an individual, you take that decision, but we try by all means to change your mindset to saying this is how you should make sure that you do. For example, your advice, I cannot take that pictures, but there's nothing that you can do if they don't want, it's beyond. Yeah.
Thank you. Just to add, because I think, now, in terms of our act, it is also a serious offense, criminal offense, to actually expose pornography to a minor child. Just a normal pornography. I'm not talking about child pornography. Your adult pornography. You are not allowed to expose such to a child below the age of 18. And in fact, in terms of our act, if you look at the fines, or the fines, it carries the heaviest. One can be fined up to 750,000 rand, or go to jail for 5 years. And I also, something came up when the lady, the photographers mentioned something. Now, there was a case where, researchers wanted to understand, the legal position in terms of child pornography, to say, what if I'm a researcher and then I want to research about this topic and I get to have that content? The court was very clear. Under no circumstances. Well, it's only for the purposes of prosecution where that material can be in the hands of an investigator, meaning a police officer. Our team, we've got a team of content analysts, sorry,
Yeah.
thank you, content analysts who are well trained to actually, handle that material, be able to analyze and tell us that indeed, a person that appears there is a minor. Those are the only people that can, have in their possession, but for the purposes of investigating a crime and prosecution. But to say, no, I want to research and write a story or a documentary about this thing, it's not allowed. Because you are giving, as the court said, we don't want to create an opportunity to have this material. Because once you research, you have that, it's there. And one day it lands in the hands of the wrong people. Or you yourself, you are a pedophile, but you're saying, I'm doing a research, And there is...
I just want to give you an opportunity to explain pornography, adult pornography, and how it is legal versus child pornography.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. Now, with regard to an adult pornography, in other words, a material, a content that contains explicit sexual conduct between, adults, consenting adults, two adults or even more, having sex, kissing sexually, and so forth and so forth. That is, it's allowed, to consume pornography only if you are an adult. Now, in terms of our act, anyone who distributes pornography has to register with the FPB and apply for an exemption so that we understand that so and so is distributing pornography. And there are conditions to be met when you distribute adult, and I'm just using the word adult pornography. There are conditions. You must satisfy the FPB that no one below the age of 18 is going to access the material. Whoever is accessing that material must confirm that indeed I am not a minor, I'm above 18. And if you go as far as selling or hiring that content online, you must have what it is referred to as child secure method, so that no one below the age of 18 is able to access such. You can actually sell, and then people pay by way of a credit card, because now under South African law, a credit card cannot be issued to someone below the age of 18. So those are the conditions that one has to meet when distributing pornography. When it comes to physical distribution, you also have to register with the FPB, and then you will also have to have a license from your local or provincial authority that will allow you to actually have a store, just like when you are applying for a liquor license. You're going to apply for a license to operate the business of an adult premises. You can get that from the municipality. And then there are conditions, again, when you get that license. You cannot have that store or what we refer to as an adult shop. I don't know, do we have an adult shops here in Bloemfontein?
Oh, okay. That was a quick answer.
Yes, it was very quick. How is it? How can anyone access that? How is it? Is it like when a normal shop that sells cell phones, you'll see them on the screen, on the window, you can window shop. Can you window shop?
An adult shop?
Yes.
Can you go there? You can.
What is it that you see when...
No.
Where do you find it? Can you find it next to a school or a church or something?
Can we get a mic to explain, basically? Because they don't meet the requirement.
Yeah.
There's a trolley gate and they ask you to take off your hat when you go in. You can't go in with a hat on. There's a trolley gate, so you will ring the bell and then the person will open.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
In other words, you are not allowed to see the material from outside.
Yes.
That's why even when you get through, still you have to corner nyana before you can get to see whatever that is being sold. And it has dark windows so that people don't just see whatever is inside. So those are some of the conditions that whoever is operating an adult shop has to meet.
So we had a question on the floor.
Good morning to the panel and to everyone at large. Tata Andrew mentioned how internet service providers can monitor our activities on the internet. So now my question is, to what extent do these ISPs have an obligation to report activities that may be child porn, defamatory information, as well as racist conduct? So do they wait for the request from the FPB maybe, or do they have a legal obligation to actually report each and every legal violation that does occur on the internet? And as well as a second question, if I may. So there's also there's the social media platforms at large, right?
Yeah.
So now they tend to just block a person if they're gonna send anything, maybe that's a legal violation once again. So to what extent can they go further than just blocking a person? Because now Kanye West can say slavery was fine. He said it last week or a month back, and then they block him and then he comes back. We saw Penny Sparrow getting blocked, coming back. So to what extent also can they also, you know?
All right, Andrew, if you can try to answer, then I guess we'll go to Google in terms of, we'll check YouTube. Let's tackle YouTube for now.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. The obligations. Now, with regard to, the act is clear. Internet service providers are actually obliged to register with the FPB and to ensure that anyone who is using their services to host child pornography, it's very clear, using their services to host child pornography, they must report. They don't have to wait for us to go there and say what is happening. They must report that, and they must actually also block. They block anybody who is trying to access and report. And they also have to preserve that evidence that so-and-so tried to access pornography or to use our services to access child pornography. So that when we take the matter up, there is an evidence regarding that. But now when it comes to issues like your revenge porn, the Act doesn't say they must block. In fact, that is when, during the investigation that someone has lodged an investigation to say, a complaint to say my naked picture was shared, and then we say, okay, let's go to the internet service provider to actually get more information regarding this person. That's where they are obliged to give us the information. Now, with regard to child pornography, if they fail to block that person and they fail to report, they can actually be fined again up to 700,000 rand or 5 years in jail. So the obligations are there. They must report, they must block, but again, when we come and request information, they must provide us with such information.
Google, in terms of YouTube.
Sure, okay. So I can speak a bit as well about the first part of the question as well. Because as a platform, so we're not necessarily an ISP, but as a platform, what we do every now and then with the FPB is that we provide them with information on how we make sure our platforms are safe, that there is no child sexual abuse material that's being distributed on our platforms, and all of the measures that we have. And leading into the second question, so one of the things that we have, and I'll speak for Google, I won't necessarily speak for the social media platforms. What we do, for instance, on YouTube is that we have a 3-strike policy. So you'll get your first warning, you'll get your second one. By the third one, we completely deactivate your account, right? Because one of the things as well that we're trying to do, though, is that we will engage with you in terms of your content, if we are finding that you are kind of a repeat offender, but that's going to be quick, and you will be removed from the platform. Because I think for us, we have what we refer to as our community guidelines. So our community guidelines are the things that say we don't want hate speech on our platform, we don't want racist comments on our platform, etc., etc. There's a number of them, and if you violate those, then you're likely then to be removed from our platform.
Do you have a follow-up?
Do you have a follow-up?
Sorry, just so you do remove them just permanently or maybe for a set period of time?
So depending on how egregious it is, but if you do get those 3 strikes, you'd be removed permanently. Yeah.
We have a hand there. Oh, yeah, let's start here.
Okay, I wanted to ask, during prosecutions and like investigations for perpetrators who are then with evidence followed, and evidence shows that this person is actually a repeat offender, do you guys have a system where in some point a psychiatric evaluation is conducted on this person? Because it can't be normal for one to consume and find joy in consuming and distributing child pornography. So in that aspect, are there procedures where a psychiatric evaluation is involved within the process of prosecution to kind of find out? Because sometimes they say that a person who had those actions or something was done to either becomes a victimizer or is a survivor or
a victim.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask a follow-up question as well. In a case where, with child pornography as well, sometimes are there ways where you guys can find illegal streaming channels or streaming videos where maybe in the process someone was a parent reported their child as kidnapped or abducted, and they were used as a subject of child pornography? Because we see this in shows like Law and Order, and sometimes fiction is not necessarily non-fiction. It's sometimes based on a true story.
Andrew?
Okay, thank you. The first one, psychological assistance to a perpetrator of child pornography. I think that will be with the correctional service, because now once you are found guilty, you'll be in jail. I think it will be up to your lawyer. You know, when someone is found guilty, there is that process before the sentence, before they give you a fine, where they call it mitigation and aggravating stages. And I know Richard would understand. So you are able to tell the court that I shouldn't go to jail for life or for 15 years because of, I committed the crime because of these circumstances. Like in your example, your lawyer will be saying, this person should not go for life because he was abused, psychologically he wasn't in a good state. But that is after you have been convicted, and then the judge will decide if they agree with that, because that will be a report from a psychologist who would have had time with you to find out. So with regard to us, FPB, we don't have that intervention. We don't have that. You want to add?
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
Thanks, Andrew. Not necessarily to add, but just to answer, I think, on the second question, on where fiction is not necessarily fiction, because it could be reality. So one of our key stakeholders, among all the stakeholders we have, we engage with producers as well, because we do not exist to become the police and cap creativity. So we engage producers on what kind of, because we still encourage people to be creative and to educate. We are not existing to cap people's creativity. So when, for example, you sing a show and there's a lot of sex on it, then you ask yourself, couldn't we have giving a message without showing so much violence, without showing so much sex. But working with the producers, we make them aware that, if they're communicating a certain message, whether it's educational message or any other message, there's a way for us to be responsible as well. If indeed there's a way for us to communicate the message without necessarily creating such a violent scene or creating such a sexual scene, let's look at other ways. But indeed, it's about striking a balance between creativity and also being responsible. But our role as FPB, our role as information regulator and .ZETNA, we are not creating a police state where now, people are, there's a big brother state where everything you are doing on the internet is being watched. We're just saying we need to be responsible on what we are doing. And together as a society, producers, students, parents, regulators as well, how responsible are we on what we're sending out there and who's giving access to what? And working closely with our partners, Google and Meta and all the other partners, they are assisting us when there's a case, for example, there was a case where you're saying somebody's been posting and what Google is saying that if you are not complying to certain conditions, they will take you out. And do lay complaints, talk to us, and we do instruct internet service providers. We do work with our partners, Google, Meta, Facebook, and everyone else, TikTok, to take down content that's not appropriate. But those are reliant on yourselves and letting us know that there's this inappropriate content. Then our technology partners have been helping us in taking down such content. And like I'm saying, we do engage with film producers, content producers on how better ways are there for us to assist curb the madness that is going on within the internet. Thanks.
Thank you. Just to also follow up in response to your question about trafficking of children and the like. Our network of stakeholders is broad. We also have NGOs that deal with children. We have partners like Childline, Molo Songololo. And the stories that we get about children that are trafficked do link up to the use of those children in the commission and creation of child pornography. If we are following the case of Ackerman, and the one that is currently in front of the High Court in Joburg, that gentleman was targeting boys that were street kids, using them to create those images and sharing them. By the way, the child pornography industry is a multi-billion rand industry internationally. As the Film and Publication Board, we are a member of an international association of hotline operators with the sole aim of curbing this multi-million rand industry because they take images here in South Africa of children committing this act and they bid and sell them at very high prices. So we cannot win this war against child pornography as a country alone, but we have to be linked up with the international world as well. So we are participating in that space as well. So the answer to your question is children that get trafficked or children that are street kids, they are the victims of this crime. So there is a link between those. Thank you.
On the same topic, I want to involve information regulators here. What kind of measures do you have in place in terms of,
Yeah, thank you. POPIA also in general does protect children. You can't just take a picture of a children without the consent of a competent person, meaning a parent or a guardian. Just be aware of that. Taking a picture of a child, that is processing of personal information. So also posting it makes it worse. So you need a consent from a parent. So we haven't had cases of that nature at the moment at the regulator. The only case that the regulator has dealt with in as far as children are concerned was the one of publication of matric results 2 years ago. So there was no consent from either those who are above 18 all the children who were below 18 years from their guardians or parents. So it does protect children in as far as Section 35 of the Act is concerned.
Do we have questions, YouTube? Anyone who's joining online, do you have questions? Okay, while we're still waiting for any feedback from the YouTube platform, we can take questions on the floor.
Okay, greetings to the panel and the floor at large. I have a follow-up question to what Uputi over there was asking about. So, yes, you may remove the certain people permanently, but then what measures are there to ensure that maybe I don't come now and I try and register using different details, you know, create a new account using different email, a different phone number? Are there certain measures that you have in place to prevent that so that it isn't a recurring thing? And then secondly, the second question is, what measures do you as FPB now take to include the deaf community in not only your awareness, but then also in protecting them as well? Because they also form part of us as a country. Thank you.
I think the first question is for you, the mic is there. Removing.
All right. So, yeah. I mean, there's only so much we can do. So, if you're gonna come back, try to come back onto the platform. Obviously, unless you have like 10 phones and 10 other email addresses, the information you register with, for instance, you know, like your email address or your cell number, etc., we should be able to match it back to you. But yes, I know there are actors who would do that and would open multiple accounts because they are trying to circumvent our protections. But remember, even if you do come back in, those rules still apply. The community guidelines still apply. So again, if you are still going to post content that is against our community guidelines, the likelihood is that you will still be removed again. You know, so we have heard of cases where people are trying to circumvent those types of protections using VPNs or whatever else, but the community guidelines apply to anybody who's using our platform. So even if you come in with a second profile, if you are still posting content that is against our community guidelines, you'll still get removed.
Richard, do you want to add something on this one?
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Richard. I'm a private attorney, and I'm the guy you call when you find pictures of yourself on the internet. And what's really exciting about what's going on here, and the questions that are asked, is that historically, as you would know, the process of getting your pictures down or finding out the perpetrators used to take months, if not years, because you'd have to go through a lot of hoops. But now with the extended mandate and also the partnerships that are happening here, it's a lot faster and a lot more streamlined to be able to get justice. So in terms of, I mean, even if your account gets blocked, they have the information to, as you say, look up who you are actually and assign your ID number or whoever you are to certain information. So you'll be able to be monitored, if not blocked, if you show any signs of flouting the law. But it's also important because, you know, a lot of you are aware you can start legally having sex at the age of 14. But what you don't know is that if you film yourself, you're still creating child pornography because you're under the age of 18. So one must be aware of these laws rather than just think, oh, it makes sense. If I can do this, then why can't I put myself on film? And it's just because there's some very bad people out there who are going to use it, and that's why it's really great that the FPB has gotten this extended mandate and created these partnerships. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you have any questions on the floor?
Delphia,
oh, yes.
Yeah, before you go to another question, the gentleman asked about what is it that you are doing with the deaf community.
Yes.
So, yes, and I'm glad that you've raised that. One of our key performance indicators as mandated by our mother department, the DCDT, Department of Communication and Digital Technologies. They've asked us the same question, saying, what is it that you are going to do? not just for the people living with disabilities, but the vulnerable groups, which include children, women, and also people living with disabilities. So that's one of our challenge that we need to do. And as part of our stakeholder engagement, we do engage with people living with disabilities, either, different forms of disabilities, and how do we include them. So that's a challenge that we have taken on. And in this financial year, this is one of the deliverables that we need to do. And like we're saying, it's not just us that can do this, but we're partnering with everyone else to see how best can we able to also incorporate people living with disabilities or in those communities so that we can include them and also protect them, because they're also a part of the vulnerable groups targeted within the internet space. And working with the rest of yourselves, like the university, is the technological or digital ways for us to assist us, either artificial intelligence, taking advantage of the technologies to include everyone, to ensure that there are other ways for us to help them and also to protect them against abuse. Because we've seen with colleagues from the child protection that especially kids within the deaf community or within such communities are targeted for grooming, are targeted because they are not able to voice what they're going through. So how best can we start doing that? Hence I'm saying, partnering with our technology partners is the technology, the artificial intelligence, and even yourselves as students, when you're doing research, are there ways where you can start assisting us as the regulator on how best can we assist everyone else with those kind of disabilities, and how best can we protect them within the internet? So definitely it's something that the challenge that we are taking, and we will be reporting to all our stakeholders on what is it that we are doing to support the vulnerable groups as well.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Let's take maybe 3 questions then, so that we can answer as a collective.
Okay, I have 2 questions. So the first question is, when we create marketing content for businesses and you have to film on site, how far do you need to go to get consent from everybody in that shop to be part of the video production, number 1, for the Popular Act? Or let's say you're at a sporting event and you still have to create a highlight of the sporting event. So how far do you need to go to get consent of everybody on site? And that ties to the second question. We were asked by a company in Lesotho to create content for them. And then in the content that they sent to us was pictures of topless women in a cultural event. So my editor immediately deleted the photos, and then when they asked why didn't we include the photos, we said it's not part of our values, we can't do that. And then they said we must include it because it's part of their culture. So what do you say to them? Because what we said then is, it is not part of our values. You can send us some different culture photos, but what do you do? What do you say to those people? Thank you.
Andrew, do you want to take this on, or should Richard and also information regulator?
Okay, thank you for that question. I didn't capture the second question properly, but let me try and answer the first one.
Yeah.
As far as consent is concerned, when you're dealing with a group, sometimes it's difficult to go to each and every one of them.
Individual, yeah.
So when you have registrations, you can put disclaimers that you are going to process their personal information for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 purposes. When they sign, they would consent. So when it's youngsters, definitely some other institutions do send out letters to parents to consent in writing. So it's up to you. The Act doesn't prescribe. You should be innovative to ensure that at least the consent that has to happen is explicit and quite clear. It should not be hidden somewhere. So I didn't just capture the second one.
I think if I got it correctly, it borders along the what I would say revenge porn, because you are saying it's a photo, but it's a topless
woman.
Yeah. Now, our Act says you are not allowed to distribute a private sexual photograph of another person without their consent and with the intention to harm. And then it goes on to unpack what is a private sexual photograph. Now, it says a private photograph is a photo, judging by the context, it was never intended to be seen by others. You're looking at the photo, judging by the context on which it was taken, it was never intended to be seen by others. It was just for that person. Now, it also talks about sexual photo. It says any photo that is, it shows your private parts, anal, exposed female breasts, that is a sexual photo. Now, the one that we are talking about, it says is topless. And then they even indicate the issue of culture. Because that is also, something to be looked at. And looking at the photo, is it sexual? Or it shows someone's culture? If it shows someone's culture, we've got street dance, isn't it? And then people will, it's their culture. But if that photo of someone who is bare breasts and then is being used for something else, that might now be a problem. But if it's being used for something that it's meant for instance, at a returns, and then they are reporting about that, and then those people are fine with the pictures during the reporting. That is okay. But once it's being used for something else, it's being sexualized, it becomes a problem. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that.
So in terms of classification, maybe I think that is very important. How do you classify that kind of content? Maybe it's included in a movie or a film.
Yeah.
So how do you classify that?
Okay, thank you so much. Now, when we classify, we're using classification guidelines. Then we're looking at issues like sex, violence, horror, nudity, prejudice. Those are the elements that we look for when we classify a movie. Now, as well as drugs or substance abuse. Now, when we look at the content and we realize it does have, nudity or even sex, we are going to look at our classification guidelines. When we classify, we've got what we call classification guidelines that were developed in consultation with experts in various fields. And then we after every 4 to 5 years, we review those guidelines just to make sure that they still aligned to the current societal norms and values. So they guide us to say, if you see a content that contains nudity or sex, how because the intention is not to censor. People still has the right to watch that content, but we must give an age rating, a certain age rating to say, okay, yes, you can see someone who's bare breasts, but now you've got to be of a certain age. This type of content cannot be exposed to someone who's below the age of 16, for an example, below the age of 18, or below the age of 10. So such content, we will still classify and give an appropriate age rating. And it might be a higher age rating in this instance because there is a bare breast on it. And, so yeah, it's not like we're going to censor it. We will still classify it and give it an appropriate age rating so that we balance the right to freedom of expression and to protect children from that content.
And also, by the way, in terms of our classification guidelines, we also follow our beliefs, our norms, who we are. The content, the way they classify films, for example, in UK, it won't be the same as we do. We are guided by that. So whatever content, for example, the Domba dance, they are naked. the messaging. They're protecting their culture. It's not really saying it's pornography, based on what we believe, our norms. And yeah, we follow that. For example, now you're saying freedom of speech. So we follow each and everything that is in their constitution. Yeah.
Yeah, just finally to add on that now. Okay, let me put it this way. Any content that contains sexual explicit content or conduct, we classified it as X18, in other words, as pornography. But now we don't just do that. We will still do what we call, application of exceptions or provisos to say, okay, this content contains sex, and then it has to be X18, no one below the age of 18. However, let's look at whether this does have artistic merit or dramatic merit, or it's a bona fide documentary, or it is of public interest. And if we find that it's not, it's of a bona fide, it's a bona fide documentary, or it is of public interest, we are able to classify, give it at least a higher age rating, but not maybe an X18, because an X18, once we classify that as pornography or as X18, it means all those conditions that I mentioned earlier on are going to apply. You can't find it anywhere else except, in an adult shop or, under those strict conditions online. So we're still going to look at that to say, can we say there is a message that has to be learned here or put across? Is it something that the public would want to know, so that if indeed that is the case, we do not, deprive them of the opportunity to get the story or the message regarding that content?
So we had 2 questions on the floor. Then after that, we're going to move to how do we as partners here create a safer environment for the youth with the type of work that we do based on your policies, whatever measures that you have. So let's take questions that we had. We had 3 questions, but I only took 1. There's one here. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I just had a small question regarding the fine. Yeah, the fine that has to be paid for filming child pornography or something. Who is the fine paid to exactly, the 150,000? And in the case of...
Who is
Can
being
you repeat what you said?
Who is being?
Who do you pay the fine to?
Right. Okay.
And in the case of a minor filming themselves and that being regarded as child pornography, would the minor now have to, not pay a fine as such, but then what would the punishment sort of thing be for the minor? Or maybe its guardian?
Okay. Can we take another one?
I didn't get that. You say, repeat the last question?
If a minor
Yes.
is filming themselves naked or whatever, then would...
now I get it.
Thank you. The minor, how do you reprimand the minor in terms of... You get the question. So we had a second question because there were 2 people. That's the only question that we have. Okay, Andrew?
All right, number 1, where do we pay fines to? Now, in terms of our act, the fines are going to be paid to the FPB. We are going to use it for the administration. Some of the things that we're going to use that money for, it's engagements like this, create awareness. So the fines will go to the FPB, and then we'll use that to enforce compliance with the law. I know other people will say, hey, you must fine, and then you pay it to the victim. Unfortunately, even in court, when someone is being fined, the money doesn't go to you, it goes to the state. So it's the same thing. Now, the second part, or a minor filming themselves. Richard, you want to take this on? Okay, because now, I know that in terms of our criminal justice system, minors are being treated differently from adults in terms of when they are found guilty of certain, of crimes. In fact, in terms of, the law, minors are presumed to be dolus incapax. In other words, they do not have the criminal capacity to commit a crime. They are presumed, unless you can prove that, no, this one is 15 years old and he understood what he was doing. But other than that, 14 and below, if I'm correct in terms of the number, yeah, they are presumed to be incapable of committing a crime. But now, if you were to prove that, no, this one knew what he was doing, there is what we call a juvenile system, where they will, I'm sure you've heard of, a child being arrested, but is at the juvenile prison.
Yeah.
So they treat them differently. It's not your normal hardcore prison. They are there, and then you have a psychologist, coming and addressing them about the consequences of criminal acts and so forth and so forth. So they will be treated in that manner. But now, as Richard has indicated earlier on, that yes, at the age of 14, they are allowed to have sex, but they must not record them having that. I think that was because when we grew up, we would go and play, and then we say, no, this one is a mother, this one is a father, and then we end up doing other things. So you can't punish kids for doing that. They are kids.
Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe
so, Rich, can you?
Sure. Look, not to admit to any crimes, but when we were all under the age of 18, we did some things that would be unlawful. And even if we got caught, it doesn't mean that we convicted. It still is against the law to go and buy liquor at the age of 16, even if you have a marvelous beard. But you do that, some kids, and I'm not endorsing it, I just know that that sort of happens. And even though it's against the law, there's a lot of steps that have to go through before you get prosecuted. And it's not likely that the state is going to be looking out for children who are filming themselves. It's more likely that the state, the FPB, are going to be looking out for adults who are, commercializing and making bad content. But the problem is that if you as a child are doing that, and that goes onto the internet, there's a great documentary on a website called Is Everyone Up? It used to be called Is Everyone Up? And it documented a guy throughout the United States who hacked accounts and got photos off of people's private phones and their iPhones and through their clouds. And so if that content is there, it's still liable and susceptible to get used in nefarious ways. So the idea is to prevent that from happening in the first place. So in other words, yes, it is a crime on paper. No, you're not going to get into trouble for doing it. I should hope, at least. But just be aware that happens often in society. And also, if you do go through the channels, what's nice about South African criminal law, if you're young, is we have the NECRO program, which is called diversion, which means that if you do something bad, they don't want to leave you in prison for 40 years because it's going to make society worse. They get psychologists, they put you into community service for a few hours, and then your record is expunged and you don't have a criminal record. So, yeah, don't be too worried about it. It is a crime, but it's not one of those that you're going to get punished for.
Thanks. Thanks. I wanted just also to add that over and above just this being a criminal issue, it's also a social impact issue, because imagine that child who innocently takes pictures or videos and shares them. That child will be a victim for the rest of their life, because that picture will live on the internet. They will be 50 one day.
Yes.
And there will be perpetual victims So it's our responsibility, and hence I was saying, as students, as the young adults, please play that role where you're educating your younger siblings or kids within the family on the issues that relate to that. Because yes, they're playing around, they're taking up pictures. And there was another case that Delphia talked about where now that kid's phone now is taken to someone to fix it. That person takes that innocent video, that innocent picture, and that picture now lives on the internet. That picture will be there forever. That child will be victimized for the rest of their lives. And that contributes to the social issues where a child will now commit suicide because they took that picture when they were 7 or 8 innocently. They are now 45. The picture still lives on the internet, and they are perpetual victims for the rest of their lives. And there are a lot of cases where kids were taken without them knowing, innocently so, taking a bath. That picture lives on the internet and it's shared over and over and over. So I'm just saying, what the message I want to communicate is that it's our responsibility as parents, our responsibility as young adults, with the younger siblings at home to educate them and make sure that we're playing that parental role, assisting them because they don't know any better. They're excited when they're getting this gadget for their 10th birthday. God knows what they're doing with it, but it's still our responsibility. It's still the responsibility of the technology companies to ensure that when a child it locks into a phone, what parental guidance are there for us as parents to control? But us as parents, we need to take that responsibility as well to guide the kids.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions on the floor? Okay. Sipho, in terms of Google, how do you create a safer environment for the users and also the misinformation and disinformation in terms of, okay, one of the universities that we went to, they complained about Musa Kaula, the YouTube channel. How do you deal with, as much as he uses allegedly, how do you deal with such cases?
All right, so we do a number of things, right? So firstly, I spoke earlier about our policies, like we have our community guidelines. So we have a number of policies that make sure that our platforms are safe. Things like child sexual abuse material is not allowed, et cetera, et cetera. So these are the rules that we have as a company in terms of what can be done and what kind of information and content can be shared on our platforms. Secondly, what we do as well is that we have designed and built specific products that are designed to either help children or to kind of help families to keep alert. So, for instance, we have built specifically a YouTube Kids, right? I'm not sure if you guys know about YouTube Kids, which is a YouTube which is specially designed for kids under the age of 13. So any kid who's below the age of 13 should not be accessing normal YouTube. They should be using YouTube Kids. So we've built that kind of platform. We have Google Space for Kids, which again has content that is age appropriate. So whether it's games or videos or anything that they want a child wants to access, they are able to do so with the comfort. So I can actually leave my child there, and if they're on YouTube Kids, I know that they're not going to be able to access anything that is above their age. What we've also done is that, for instance, we have products like Family Link. So Family Link is a program. You can download it on your phone. It's an app that allows me, for instance, as a parent, to link my phone to my child's phone. So if I have a 10-year-old at the house, I can link their phone to my phone. With Family Link, I'm able to monitor what they're doing. So I can see what websites they're visiting, what they're doing. I can even kind of restrict the time that they're using their phone. I can put a time limit in terms of when they must switch off, for instance, before bedtime. So I'm able to monitor them in that manner. But what we also do as well, the third thing in terms of how we are protecting people on our platforms is that we do a lot of training. So as you know, one of the big things that we've seen is that as technology is growing, for us to be able to use it appropriately, you need to learn technology. So we do a lot of digital skills training. We have a number of platforms where we've made available digital skills training for free for anybody who wants to be able to do that. But we have specific programs, for instance, one that is called Be Internet Awesome, which is designed specifically to teach kids how to be good digital citizens and how to, for instance, be kind online, how to be secure, how to to protect their information. So these 3 pillars is really what we're doing at Google to try and make sure that our platforms are safe and that they're being used appropriately. I think the biggest thing that we need to know is that the internet is a great space. It can do good, but it can also do bad. And it's important for us to use it responsibly. And that's why we find that with training and information that we can share, we're trying to get more better digital citizens in this space. Yeah.
Thank you. Celia?
Okay, so what we do at ZNA, first we encourage people to get onto the right domain. Because the reality is that if you have a website and you are on a generic domain, there is essentially not so much that we can do for you as far as taking down certain images, for instance, if there's a need for that, but also dispute over websites, alternative dispute mechanisms. There's so much that we can do. So one of our biggest things is that we do encourage, we do a lot of awareness on the importance of being on a .za domain as entities, as universities, so that you can safeguard. And if you are ever in a situation where you are violated online, you have a regulator, they have measures in place that can help you either, for instance, take down pictures or maybe get back a website if that's that. But we also, these kind of engagements, for instance, having the youth speak of their own experiences. So what we also do is that we have internet governance forums as well as youth internet governance forums where we are on dialogue with young people for the purpose of influencing regulations, right? So this, there's a gentleman there that says, how soon are web or posts or how soon are you deregistered from an account if you are constantly violating other people. Those kind of things, for instance, those are based on your own personal experiences. So once we are in dialogue with you and you raise that we have this culture in society where young people are perpetual offenders, and they keep re-emerging online, then we, partner up with stakeholders to say, these are the concerns that have been raised by our young people. What can we do as far as regulating the space in partnership with platform providers? One of the key things that I think Dalfia mentioned, and I'm not speaking on behalf of TikTok. No. But I want to also just mention this, is that awareness is more of equipping you as the receiver of the information so that you can make the right decisions. One of the things that, and I didn't know this until our stakeholder from TikTok, who's unfortunately not here, made in our last engagement, was that part of the biggest challenge that we have as far as regulating and ensuring that our youth is protected online is that they're not honest. If you are under the age of 18, for instance, and you are not supposed to be viewing certain content, or you're not supposed to be, for instance, I think TikTok has this age restriction where if you put down your correct age, there's certain videos that you will not be able to access. So those kind of things, but those really just do rely also on your honesty as the consumer of content, as the consumer of the services that we regulate, for instance, or platforms that we regulate, is that if you tell us that you're 18, we can't protect you very much. So we rely also on these engagements that we are having with you guys so that we can regulate appropriately to make sure that you guys are comfortable online, but to also make sure that we don't censor you. To make sure that we don't, prohibit you from communicating and being creative as the acting CEO has mentioned, being creative online. You still need to be creative. You still have the right to express yourself. There's freedom of expression. There's freedom, we have all of those things. So when we regulate, we're not doing it so that you are limited but we are doing it so that everyone is safe. Yes.
Wait, yeah, you can add.
Thank you. We're regulating the protection of your personal information. At the moment, we've got programs to educate. We've got also public awareness programs to also educate the youth. But then, the pamphlets that I distributed earlier on, you'll see at the bottom, if you've got a complaint regarding the processing of your personal information in an unlawful manner, there's a relevant POPIA complaint email address that you can use there. What you need to do on our website, a link to that particular email address, you'll find a form. It's a POPIA complaint form. It's a Form 5. Just differentiate, there's a PAIA complaint form, which is also a Form 5. Look at the POPIA complaint form, Form 5, complete that form, detail the nature of a complaint, and submit it through. And then it will be investigated, and if it's found to be relevant, you will be engaged. But also remember, the regulator, it saves you cost not to go through courts, because most of us, we don't have money to go to courts. So if you are aggrieved in as far as processing of personal information is concerned, do engage the regulator. Even if you are not certain, there's an inquiries email, I think it's also there, that you can send your queries, and you will be attended to. And then the regulator, in as far as concerned, it's regulating basically 8 conditions. POPIA is centered around principles. Internationally, those conditions are called principles. There's 8 of them. So one of those is that whoever collects your information, he is responsible, or he or she is responsible, whether it's an institution, it's accountable. Whatever happens to your institution, there's breaches and everything else, and it gets lost, you lose your dignity and everything else. That particular institution is liable. It's one of the principles. The other one is it's limitations. There are limitations as far as processing your personal information is concerned. Nobody can collect your personal information without your consent in the first place. You should be engaged, and you should be told what is the purpose of collecting that particular personal information. So there are limitations in as far as processing your personal information is concerned. Nobody should be asking about your religion, as an example, or your union or a political membership, if it's not relevant for that particular purpose, as an example. And whoever or whatever institution that collects your information, that needs to be safeguarded. There should be security of your personal information. It's one of the responsibilities that they have. And it should not be further processed without your consent. And the further processing should be compatible to the initial purpose of collecting your information. So that is what the regulator is basically, in a nutshell, is regulating in as far as processing your personal information is concerned. So we've got programs for public awareness, we've got programs for education and stakeholder engagement. And if you need us, those contact details are there on those particular platform. We can engage virtually if you need us. We can come down physically if you need us. Thank you very much.
Zulu, last word?
Thanks. Okay, I don't consider myself a poet, but I've written a cool poem. I'll tell you my poem. It's a limerick. It's only 5 lines. I work in this business of law. It contains a marvelous flaw. I take all your money. When you lose, it's funny, because when you appeal, I take more. And so I'd like to ask you to save yourself some money. Make sure that you understand what's going on here, educate yourselves on what the laws are, but also use these new tools that you've learned about. I mean, it's lovely that you can go to the regulator without having to engage the courts or an attorney in the first place. It's wonderful that you can complain directly to the FPB. So, you know, as the public, you're getting more protection out of this, and it's vital that you get to understand what this means for you and how good it is for you, because ultimately, there's a couple of people here who can't sit on their computers all day, every day, and make sure everyone's abiding by the law.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys to, you know, engage and show them if you see something amiss or something out of place. And if you are victimized, it sucks to have to admit it, but no one's going to know you're victimized unless you speak up and say, I've had this happen to me, and this is just making it easier for you. So just be aware of that.
Thank you so much. Tulu, any reporting lines? Where can they contact Zetna?
Where can they contact us? We are obviously available online, www.zadna.org.za. We are available on all social media platforms. We are also available, you know, in our offices. Anyway, if there's a domain name issue that you need to complain, or we've got infos@zadna.org.za where you can submit any kind of queries, any kind of questions that we will respond to. Yes.
Google, let's start with you, because then we'll finish up with Sipo.
Okay. As you noticed, I've been quiet because as ICASA, we don't regulate online content. It's the purview of our sister organization, FPB. But there is some work that we're doing on our side with regards to, say, for example, we have broadcasters, right? Community radio stations, all community radio stations, commercial radio stations, those we license. So our licensees, when we license you, we give you conditions under which you're going to broadcast. For example, when we license you, we'll give you a code of conduct to say, this is the content that you can broadcast before 9 o'clock at night. And then there's some content that is of explicit in nature that you can only broadcast after 9 at night. So during the day, you are not allowed as a license as our license holder to broadcast such content. And then in that code of conduct, you can broadcast content that is of violent in nature. The content, there are, sorry. So you can broadcast this one is an exception. I mean the child pornography, whatever pornography you are not allowed to as a license holder to broadcast. Up until you guys are young. There used to be that program on ETV that plays around yeah. Now that one is. So you noticed the time at which it was playing. So you could still broadcast that kind of content, but you can only broadcast it around midnight. When we Zoom, kids are sleeping these days, but kids don't sleep around that time. So there is a certain time. Those are part of the conditions that when we give you as our licensee, that you need to abide by, and we try and protect the children. But when it comes to online content, we don't interfere much. We just work with our sister organization here. Now, when it comes to we deal a lot with regards to online fraud. We do a lot of awareness. We do a lot of awareness when we work with our operators, telecommunication operators, as you know, they are our licensees. what we do with them, we encourage them to actually improve their authentication methods. You can't just ask 3 questions and then you put a number. You know, there are loopholes as far as those things are concerned. With regards to, so that's the kind of work that we're doing, that we engage our operators or our licensees as far as keeping the online fraud is concerned. And we also engage the banking sector through the SAPRIC. I don't know whether you guys know the body that's called SAPRIC. It's a banking sector. We also partner with them. As you know, these days, a lot of us use online banking. So that online banking, as you know, it used a lot of telecommunication infrastructure. The telecommunication infrastructure that are under our purview, they are our licensees. So we are like, I can say we're linked between the banking sector and the telecommunication operators. Because as you might know, the issue of that SIM swap fraud, the banking sector was blaming the telecommunication operators. The telecom operators, they said no, there is this much that they can do. The fault was on the banking sector side. So we had to come in between to mediate and to have them working together. So yeah, that's in short what we do.
Thank you so much, Silas. Google, any closing remarks?
Yeah, okay. So if you leave with nothing else today, please take this. Turn on your two-factor authentication if you don't have that. Does everybody know what that is? Please make sure you are using that. Passwords. If you don't want to have too many passwords or you forget them, we have a beautiful password manager at Google. So look for Google password manager. Just go Google it, you'll find it. If you have time, I know studies are very hectic, but if you have time and you want to learn a skill, something about AI, you want to learn about machine learning or anything of that nature, if you go into Google and Google Digital Skills for Africa, Digital Skills for Africa, you'll find a lot of free courses, a lot of free materials. If you have an hour or two to spend, go through that. It is a lifesaver. Teaches you skills that are going to go beyond what you would learn in your traditional school. Yeah, so I think from our side, I think the most important thing, I think, as a lot of the speakers have said, the internet, as we said at the beginning, belongs to no one. But as the citizens of it, we are the ones who need to make sure that it is a good space for us to be able to interact in a way that is not going to be harmful to anyone. So I think in order to keep anybody safe online, it starts with you. You must think about yourself and how you are interacting with people, how you're commenting to people's pictures, for instance. What are you saying to people? Are you being kind? And I think once we are each trying to do that and creating an environment that is safe for everyone, then definitely we will achieve the best of using tech and technology than the harms that we're seeing. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. Please give our partners a round of applause. And if you check, one thing that stood out the most is, at the end of the day, everything lies in your hands. It's your decision to make. We can give you all the information, we can educate you or try to empower you. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, you as the user, you are responsible. FPB cannot come to your house and tell you, you don't watch 16 LV, what to, do you get what I'm trying to say? We can't do that, but you have to take a decision as an individual and change the mindset, the stereotype, and everything basically to move in a right direction. So please also give yourself a round of applause for being here. And I hope whatever we did today, all the dialogue and the conversation, you're going to take it home. So without wasting any time, I'm going to call our acting CEO to do the closing remarks. And a vote of thanks, basically. Then we'll call Dr. Aval to also close.
All right. Thanks, Delphia. Thank you so much for making time. And like I said, it's not the last time that you'll be seeing us. And hopefully, after all these engagements, you now know what FPB does, you know what to look out for, you know what .ZETNA does, you know what the information regulator does, and if there's any issues, please do contact us. Please do contact Google in case there's anything else you need assistance on. And we will be engaging with yourselves. Like I said, we are in need of technical skills to assist us going forward, to be able together, working together to ensure that internet becomes a safer space. And it's all our responsibility, like what you said, Sipho. It's all our responsibility. It's not just regulators who can assist us or regulate. It's still our responsibilities as young adults, as parents, to make sure that we safeguard our kids because they are under siege. We need to play our role in ensuring that we protect our kids and protect ourselves because we may be innocently sharing certain information without knowing the consequences. So we need to take into consideration the impact and the lasting effect of whatever that we're doing online, our digital presence, our digital footprint. Internet never forgets. That information will be there forever. And please, please, please be on the lookout for us again coming through. Dr. Viepie, we appreciate all the support and definitely will be engaging going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, from my side, thank you so much to each and everyone that took the time, traveled here to Bloemfontein to engage our students, to raise awareness. We don't take that for granted. So thank you very much. Also on behalf of the Executive Director for Student Affairs, Mr. Themba Glasio, unfortunately he could not be here, he's not well today. But from his side, I'm also conveying his thanks, his message of thanks, and we're looking forward to taking hands with you and really tackling the challenges facing us and facing our young people. So thank you very much.
Thank you. In terms of the competition, Audrey, do we have winners? Oh my God. So you're not active, you're not saying anything? Really? Okay, we'll go back with our presents. It's fine, right? Okay, can I have 3 students to come and tell us what is that you have learned today? What is the take home, the ooh-ha moment for you? 1. The one with spectacles. There. Please do come here. Yeah. On stage. Yes, you. And okay, 4 is fine. Come. All 4 of you come. Thank you so much. We have power banks, we have bags. I could have decided not to engage. So this is the price that you're paying. So we are trying to solve the load shedding issue, but you know. Yeah, you can face them and tell them basically what you learned and what is your hoo-ha moment. What is that you're taking back? Please do introduce yourself. And
hi everyone, I am Warabile. So basically what I learned today is virtual realities are realities and the internet doesn't forget. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Kanyisile Phillips, and what I learned today is that child pornography is just pornography and nudity and things like that. Okay, and then you're gonna and you can get fined for like a lot of money, 150,000, something like that, and that's ridiculous. But yeah,
which because you don't have that money, yes.
yes. And basically you must pay attention to your digital footprint because it lives with you forever and ever, and it'll affect your future and your career basically.
Yeah. Thank you.
Morning once again. I think from my side, more than anything, is that we have to be mindful of the things we do because there are regulations regarding that, as well as that we have to actually keep a distance from exposing children to the things that are available to people on the internet. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Perfect.
Greetings, everyone. I go by the name of Tato. I learned a few stuff today, nah? So I learned that it's very important to take care of yourself and understand what you post on the internet is very important. Digital footprint goes a long way. It could affect you in so many ways, right? It goes for you trying to get a job, you trying to become the person you're trying to become. You might not realize it right now. It could affect you 10 years from now. Anything you post will affect you, unfortunately. And then another thing I learned about child pornography, I wasn't aware of that. It's my first time hearing about that. And I'm glad that I got to learn so much about it. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Please give them a round of applause. You're going to get your prize before you leave, ne? I promise. Thank you so much. You can go. Again. What a gentleman. So you want ladies to pass first. So you wanted to say last words? It's on.
All right, thank you, Delphia. I just want to thank the team that has put together all the logistics. Behind the scenes, a lot of work goes into this. So to Gerben and Zanele and Lucy and Camille from the UFS side, also working with Delphia. Please forgive me if I leave out any individual, but thank you very much for putting all of this together and all the hard work that you've put to make this a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So to close off the whole thing, we have a performance for you. It's a duo. So we have Mohau and Dineo. So, but thank you so much for coming, and I know this is a critical moment for you and time during exams, and I wish you all the best. We want to see you one day working with this, companies and also the people. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Obviously, so we are very fun to work with. So yeah, so hopefully everything goes well for you as an individual, and also please do pass the message to your peers. And yeah, thank you so much. Please welcome Mohau and Dineo. Thank you so much. So I'm going to give you directions in terms of how you're going to move, right? So we have refreshments, food, not refreshments, food for you. And unfortunately, your peers didn't pitch that much, but we have enough food for you outside, something to eat, drink, and also snack on. Full meal. So we have everything for you. So you'll be able to eat, and also, for the whole day, hopefully, the whole day you'll be covered. So right now we have lunch for you. So perfect. So do enjoy. Just outside, you can queue perfectly so. And enjoy the rest of your day. And for now, we're just going to take a group picture, everyone on stage. Then the thanks for you in terms of dinner. Lunch. Oh, Lord. All right, bye.